Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, what's up? My name is vianney.strick. Thank you so much for being here. So today, as you can see by the title, I've decided to do the video that's been going around. I don't know the exact creator, but I will put all the videos that I've watched down below. If you do know the creator of this tag, comment it down below. But it is what my collection, my makeup collection would be if I wasn't a YouTuber. Obviously, I have an excessive amount of makeup because this is what I do. This is my job. I had to think back to when I was younger, before I started YouTube, what would be my collection now? Something more reasonable and smaller, of course. So I hope that you guys find this video interesting. I hope you like it, and if you do, you know what to do. Please make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to join my squad. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so to get started, I just wanted to say that I've been seeing this tag. I don't even know if it's a tag, but I've seen other YouTubers do it, and some YouTubers have thought of their #1 product from each category. If you're interested in that, I literally have a Holy Girls video, but I wanted to do it to where what would me before YouTube have purchased by now, and what would be my collection. So that's kind of how I'm doing it. So it's not my favorite product of every category, drugstore and high-end. I'm just putting myself back into my head a couple years ago. So I'm just gonna start out with primer and kind of the steps of doing a full face. So for primer, I was thinking about this, and I think that personally I did options, but I obviously didn't like excess. So I think that I would have 2 primers, and the first one is this one. This is the e.l.f. Putty Primer. Before, I used to not really care too much about poreless primers, but as I got older, I realized that my pores are peeking through. So I know that by now, even if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I would have somewhat of a poreless primer. I never like to spend a lot of money on high-end primers. I still don't. So I know for a fact that I would only have drugstore primers. e.l.f. Putty Primer, it's an all-over good primer, makes your skin really smooth, and it's not drying or hydrating. And then since sometimes I do have drier skin in the summer, I remember always going back to this. This is the L'Oreal Lumi Glotion. I haven't used this in a really long time, just because I'm trying out so many products, but I really feel like I would have an illuminating primer as well as a pore minimizing primer. I actually kind of still am that way in a sense. I do like double priming, especially the pore area, but I do like having something glowy underneath as well. Why am I not focused? These 2 would be my primers right now. So for foundation, I have always liked a thinner consistency foundation. For a while there, I did do a lot of full coverage, but that was mainly because of YouTube. When I was not doing YouTube, I wasn't wearing anything super thick, super full coverage. My go-to foundation back in the day was the L'Oreal True Match. I really enjoyed this because it gave me a good medium coverage. It was lightweight and it was beautiful. So this was my go-to. I don't really use this anymore because I found something better. Not all these products will be drugstore, because some products I would think that they were worth. Obviously, now my budget is different because I do buy products to review for you guys. So, but back then I stuck to drugstore foundations, and I really think that my foundation, which is actually my favorite right now, would be the L'Oreal Fresh Wear. I've always loved L'Oreal foundations. They have been my favorite. I liked Maybelline as well, but I think that with the consistency that I like that's really never changed. Go-to foundations have always been lightweight, medium coverage. So I think that I would have this one, but I also wanted to give a shout out. This is a newer find, but it's so good. It's actually what I'm wearing right now. When I was younger, I did like to venture out into ColourPop because it felt like I was buying more high-end but with a good price. It's more than drugstore, but it's still affordable. So I really think that I would have bought the ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation and loved it, because this is so nice. Like I said, it is on my face right now. When I was younger, I did like options but not excess. So I feel like I would have had the L'Oreal foundation for when it was hot, and then of course the Pretty Fresh foundation when it was the cooler, drier months. So I think that these 2 would be my go-tos. So for concealer, I always did drugstore. I always liked the Maybelline Dark Eraser Concealer, or the Master Conceal. I really did like high coverage concealers, but after I tried Tarte Shape Tape, I just feel like, even though I don't even use Tarte Shape Tape, not really anymore, I just feel like I have to have it in my collection. Like if I run out, I need to repurchase it just in case I need full coverage. Like this is the go-to. So I really feel like I would have a drugstore everyday concealer and then a Tarte Shape Tape concealer for like special occasions. So the everyday concealer would be the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and then my fancy go-to precious beloved concealer would be Tarte Shape Tape. As you can see, there's kind of a trend here. There's about 2 of every product, kind of. So that's just the way that I am. I like having affordable things that I can use every day, and then this is like treat myself kind of moment. So that's always how I've been. So these 2 would be my go-to concealers. So for powder, if you guys know me, you know that my current favorite powder, and it has been for a couple months now, is the Hailey's Beauty powder. This is available at select Targets and of course on the Hailey's Beauty website. Now this, even though it is drugstore, I believe this is $20, so it's not, you know, it's pretty high in the drugstore price range. And I just know that before YouTube, I didn't necessarily venture out into brands that I didn't know about, especially if they were a little bit more pricey. So I don't think I would have purchased this if I didn't have a YouTube channel, because now I obviously venture out to try things for you guys so that now I can tell you that this is really good and worth your money. But I really think that back in the day, I would have just stuck with my Maybelline Fit Me powder. I do use the shade Fair Light. This was my favorite for a very, very long time, and I think that I would have just stuck with what I know. This is good for under the eyes, all over the face, baking, everything. It comes with a lot of product. I like the packaging, and it's also affordable. So I really think that my setting powder would just be this Maybelline powder. All right, so moving on to contour. This is actually still one of my favorite contour kits, and I really don't think I would need anything other than the Wet n Wild contour palette. I love Dulce de Leche, and I also love Caramel Toffee. It really just depends on how light or dark I am. Honestly, for me, I obviously always wanted like the Anastasia contour palette or the Kat Von D. I later did get the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, but I also thought it was a little bit wasteful because I really only need like 1 contour shade and 1 highlight shade, and I still think that. So I really think that I would have just stuck with this. This palette is so good. It's so affordable. It has so much product, and it's so nice. Like, you literally don't need more than this if these shades work for you. This would have been my powder collection. I was trying to think of like what my go-to bronzer was, and I didn't ever have like one specific one. I've always loved bronzer, but I never had like one favorite. I kind of just switched around. But I really think that, again, I think that I would have probably 2 bronzers because I do love bronzer. I really think that I would have gave in to the butter bronzer. I still think this is such a beautiful bronzer. This, obviously, it's a little bit more pricey than drugstore bronzers, but I think that this would be like my treat myself bronzer because it is just an overall really nice bronzer. And then I think that I would also have tried the Milani ones. Now these are, I believe this is more inexpensive than this one, but I also know that Milani is a little bit high-end for drugstore. This bronzer is just really nice. I guess what I'm getting at is that I would spend extra at the drugstore for a good bronzer, but I still don't think I would have gotten a high-end bronzer. Even though right now my favorite high-end bronzer is the Benefit Caramel. For me, just spending more than, I don't know, $15 on a powder was just like not for me, especially as a student with, you know, being a waitress. Like, that just wasn't normal. But I really think that I would have like picked these 2 up and I would have loved them. So for blush, I still have the original blush that I used to wear every day, and it is Milani Luminoso. I also liked Rose de Oro. That was like a darker shade, and I would just wear these 2 all the time. So I would definitely have this, and then now more than ever, I prefer a matte bronzer, so I feel like I would have gotten to that point anyways. What other bronzer would I have than the one that I use almost every day now, which is Wet n Wild bronzers. This one's in the shade Mellow Wine. It is what I'm wearing on my face. I really think that I would be satisfied with this luminous blush and this matte blush, and that's it. Like, I really don't need more than that. I still don't. I really do love blush, but once I find a shade that I like and a formula, I don't really stray away from it. So these would be my blushes. So for highlight, I have a couple things actually, because you know, when a highlight became a thing, it became a thing. I think we all got obsessed with it. So my first like highlighter that I really truly loved were from Wet n Wild, and I believe the first one that I bought from them was this one, which is Precious Petals. This is more of like your rosy champagne kind of highlight. I mean, these were my only highlighters at some point, and I really love them. And I also feel like I would have given in to the Master Chrome by Maybelline, because this formula is insane. Like, literally could be a high-end formula for a very small price. So I really think that I would have this, because this is more of your rosy tone and this is more of your gold tone. I do tend to go for more gold tones now, but wait, there's more. This is the Anastasia Glow Kit. This is what it looks like. It's so funny that I hit pan on the darkest one, but I used to like to use this as a bronzer topper. So I decided to buy this because back in the day, man, the really only like high-end brand that I was interested in was Anastasia Beverly Hills. It was just so big back then, and I just remember thinking that this was such a good price for 4 huge highlighters. So this was like my treat for myself for a high-end highlighter, and I really think that I would have this as my treat. Again, my treat highlighter, and then my everyday highlighters would be right here. Even having more than one thing per category, like, that's awesome, you know? Please don't ever compare yourself to YouTubers that have drawers and drawers of makeup, because this is literally office supplies for us, if that makes sense. So finish off the face, let's do setting spray. You guys know how I like my options. I do love a dewy setting spray, and I still love this one, L'Oreal Lumi Shake and Glow Mist. I definitely would have had a luminous spray, but I feel like everyone, almost everyone, had to give in to the Morphe one. Like, this was the first of its kind, I think, of like, it literally looks like a hairspray. So I think that I would have these two. I think that this would be my go-to, but once this came out and it was under $20, I feel like I would have bought this for sure, which is cool because this doesn't really change the finish of your makeup. It just makes it last and obviously melts all the powders together, and this is for your dewy look. So I really feel like I would have been set with these two. Okay, so moving on to brows. Back in the day, I didn't really think that it was worth it to buy high-end products for brows. Obviously, I couldn't afford it, and I didn't want to like spend my money on that, except one thing. I'll get to it. But I think that my favorite brow gel would be this one. This is the CoverGirl Easy Breezy Brow. This is actually really good and very comparable to high-end ones. And I think I would have just stuck with this, you know, CoverGirl one. The pencil that I think I would have is the one that I used to have and I used to wear all the time. This is the Maybelline Total Temptation eyebrow pencil. This is more of like a brow definer. It's a little bit thicker and longer. I don't know, with brow pencils, they do kind of run out fast, so I don't think that I would have spent the money on a high-end one. So this would be like my combo. But the one thing that I did buy once that it was like my treat again, I just feel like if you're not a YouTuber, just an everyday person, any high-end makeup is a treat. Am I right? Like, it's a very exciting moment. I ended up treating myself to the Anastasia brow powder just because, I don't know, I just decided to. Again, Anastasia was one of those brands that I used to really look up to more back then than today. I bought the powder. This is in the shade Ebony, and I quickly realized that some high-end products are definitely worth it. This powder I have used time and time again, and it literally doesn't even look like it has a dent in it. I have never seen a brow powder formula like this at the drugstore. Not saying that you shouldn't buy drugstore powders, but I really think that this is actually an investment because it will last you longer than a couple drugstore ones. The reason why I'm not showing you guys my Benefit one that I use almost every single day is because I didn't really discover Benefit until I became a YouTuber, and so this is more like what would be up my alley, which is Anastasia Beverly Hills. Let's move on to eyeshadow palettes. I first wanted to say that there's an eyeshadow palette that I think I would have bought if I didn't already have an excess of palettes, which I do. I really think I would have bought that really big, newer palette from ColourPop. I'll put a picture right here. It's called the Bare Essentials or the, I don't know, Bare Necessities. I really think that palette is right up my alley. It kind of has everything you need, and I didn't buy it because I'm trying so hard to not buy things if I don't need them, like especially for a video. If I'm not going to use it in a video, then I'm just not going to buy it, because at this point any makeup product that I buy, I do it for videos because I'm not trying to be very wasteful. In conjunction with that, I would have bought the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette because I feel like between this palette and the ColourPop palette, you have all the neutrals and all the colors that you need. I really don't dabble into color as much, but I think that those two palettes would be like just everything. Since I don't have that ColourPop palette, from my collection, I probably would just have this one instead. The ColourPop Double Entendre. I talk about this palette all the time and I still can't say it. This is just your perfect neutral palette. My first high-end palette was actually the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, but I bought that a while ago, and I think that now if I would buy a high-end palette, I also used to have the Naked palettes, and even though I really enjoyed them at the time, I think that Naked Heat is way up more my alley. I love warm tones, so I feel like now if I would have spent money on a high-end palette, it would have been this one. This is actually a gift from one of my best friends who just knows me very well, but I really think that this would have been the one that I purchased that was high-end. So moving on to eyeliner, I never spent any money on eyeliners, like high-end is what I mean. So right now, my current favorite liner is the Maybelline Hyper Easy Liner. This is just awesome. It is a brush tip. It is what I'm wearing right now. I would just go for a pen liner, and then if I wanted a gel, I would get this one. This is the Maybelline Eye Studio Gel Liner. I actually wore this almost every single day. Not this exact one, but I wore this product almost every single day to high school. I used to wear this all the time. It's really, really long wearing. Maybelline just does really, really good eyeliners and mascaras, obviously, and I do have some high-end that I really do enjoy, but I don't think you really need to spend too much money as long as you find a good product at the drugstore, and Maybelline I think is where it's at. For mascara, I've always been obsessed with L'Oreal or Maybelline. I have gone through a lot of different bottles. I feel like right now, if I had to put myself in my place, I would probably be using these two, the Maybelline Lash Sensational and then the L'Oreal Ultimate Mascara. I love rubber ones. Rubber ones are everything to me. And like I said, Maybelline and L'Oreal just know how to do it. I didn't necessarily need to have two mascaras, but now I like to layer mascara. So I think that I would have just one from Maybelline, one from L'Oreal, or two from Maybelline. But those two brands were my favorite. They still kind of are. They have great mascara. So I would just have something like this. Okay, so I can't find the lip liner that I was going to talk about, but for lip liners, I have always loved NYX liners. I think that they're a little bit pricier than a Wet n Wild liner, but I think it's worth it. And I've always loved them, so I'll put like pictures right here. I think that my lip liners would most likely be from NYX, which back in the day I did have a lot of NYX liners. For a while there, I really liked liquid lipsticks that were matte. I bought some of the ColourPop ones. No way could I wear those right now. They're so drying. So me, myself, right now, with the mentality before YouTube, I would have definitely found the L'Oreal Color Riche liquid lipsticks. These are amazing. They're not drying and they're liquid lipsticks. And then I always stuck to Milani matte lipsticks. they're really, really, really great. I really think that I would be getting a lot of the Wet n Wild lipsticks because they're also really great and really affordable. I love lip products, but I don't think I'd be spending $20 on a liquid lipstick or a lipstick. I really think that you don't need high-end lip products. I mean, I don't really wear high-end lip products in general. Not for any other reason than my go-tos are always very inexpensive. Different shades in these formulas. Obviously, I don't think I would have only 3 lipsticks. I think I would have different shades in these brands and formulas. I think I finished. That was a lot of makeup. I like this tag because I think it's really interesting to see people's perspective. Like, you see us YouTubers talking about so much makeup and you need this and you need that. Obviously, I've said this in some of my videos, like, you don't need makeup, but if you want to, maybe spend your money on this, you know? But at the end of the day, don't ever compare your makeup collection to anyone. Only spend as much money as you feel comfortable. Just because other people have more high-end things than you doesn't mean you can't look as good as them. You really don't need too much to make a face look really, really good. And you don't need makeup at all, so just remember that. That is my curated makeup collection if I wasn't a YouTuber, and honestly, I could easily live off of just these products. Like, seriously, I know I obviously use a lot more products on my face now, but it's just because I have them. My love for makeup is just to be like exploring makeup and telling you guys of new products. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it helpful. Comment down below, come say hi like always, and let me know if we have any favorites or if your makeup collections looks anything like mine from this video. So hope you guys enjoyed. I love you so much. Thank you guys for letting me do this as my job. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.